Right, it is the final Wednesday of this particular month. Happy Wednesday to you, and karibu sana. This is the Daily Report. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita, coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. And this particular day, being the marketplace, we discuss matters getting out of debt. Now, being the fact that you had January with you, you had February with you, you definitely have accumulated quite a number of loans or debts in different mobile loans. And you know, as they say, utamu wa deni ni kuilipa. Tonight, we discuss all that. How do you get out of a debt? Don't worry, Kathleen Mureithi from Centonomy Limited will be with us here to discuss all this in quite a number of discussions. And we'd love to hear from you. Talk to us. How do you get out of debt when you find yourself in that particular place? Right now, though, let's get the highlights.
Tonight, garbage of shame.
Tumesema ya kwamba uhasama wote uishe. Tumekaa chini, tumesikizana, tumekubaliana, na ilikuwa jambo ambalo hata ilikunipendeza, mambo ya kumwaga takataka. Hiyo malori yalikuwa yazibe tu.
Koskei meets with Sakaja, CS Wandai of a City Hall, Kenya Power TIF. Also tonight,
we have seen him using the name of our Chief Justice, Madam Justice Martha Koome, as a political tool.
Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen meets CJ Koome amid looming ouster as JSC reveals court orders stopping crucial sittings on the removal of 7 Supreme Court judges. Plus, Siwa of horror.
I'm requesting you, please, usituache hapa kichakani tukiangaliana tu hivi. Ni kama tunakaa mbali sana na serikali.
Business community in Homa Bay town gripped by fear following a chilling wave of killings targeting residents.
I've asked leadership that I met here today what they think about my consultations, and they have given me the green light.
And Raila prepares home turf before unveiling pact with Ruto next week.
Karibu sana. Roda Nyamai is on sign language docket. I'm used to Stanley Nyaringita. Tonight, Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza has been grilled by the Senate following the ongoing stalemate between the Social Health Authority and the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association, RUFA, of an accrued debt by the defunct NHIF. CS Deborah says the ministry is working closely with the National Treasury to secure funds that will help resolve the impasse. Our health reporter Elizabeth Atieno begins our bulletin tonight.
Wednesday morning, Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza, accompanied by her 2 principal secretaries, Dr. Harry Kimutai and Mary Muthoni, appeared before the Senate plenary to provide an update on the rollout of the Social Health Authority, SHA. But the session quickly turned confrontational as senators from both the majority and minority sides united in demanding that the CS admits whether SHA is functioning effectively or not, further stating the Ministry of Health appears to be incompetent.
Do not sit in your office, Madam Minister, and listen to your choir of office officials. Come and listen to the representatives of the people to tell you the challenges that people are facing.
So, Madam Minister, we can cut some slack because you just came in, but you must pull up your socks.
Then she should be gentle enough, she should be kind enough to tell us today that this thing is not working.
I wonder how she's going to manage this ministry. And I don't know if she has thought of even resigning.
What your ministry is doing is trying to climb a tree from the top. That's my honest response to SHA and SHIF.
Senators compounding the dire state in health system by citing the case of 1-year-old Ariana Wairimu who succumbed to Pearson syndrome, which is a rare DNA disorder with fewer than 10 documented cases globally. This is despite her family seeking help through SHA.
There is this story, Madam Minister, can you put it to rest, about baby Ariana Wairimu? Allegations as that she had a bill of 1.6 million. but SHA only paid 23,000.
Why would you say that then SHA is working if it has paid such a negligible amount of money?
SHA has not received an invoice from Fortis Hospital, India. Upon receipt, SHA will review and make payment.
On Thursday, the government is expected to hold a crucial meeting with private and faith-based health facilities to discuss the crisis and explore a possible resolution to the ongoing standoff.
We are engaging Treasury. We are engaging various MDs that were involved, for the bill to ensure that there is payment of that.
We are still around between 10 and 12 billion that we are owed by SHA. Yet, we are still providing services without downing our tools.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Meanwhile, the standoff between Nairobi City County and Kenya Power has finally ended, with Governor Johnson Sakaja describing the dispute as an unfortunate incident that is now being resolved. The governor confirmed that the county, in collaboration with Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi, has agreed on a payment plan to settle all outstanding bills starting March.
After 3 days of chaos, the Nairobi County government and Kenya Power have finally struck a deal, ending a messy standoff that stunned the nation.
Tumesema ya kwamba uhasama wote uishe, tumekaa chini, tumesikizana, tumekubaliana. Na ilikuwa jambo ambalo hata ilikunipendeza, mambo ya kumwaga takataka. Hiyo malori yalikuwa yazibe tu vile sheria inakubali. Na ndio maana kwa muda mchache sana waliweza kukokota hiyo taka. Lakini leo baada ya mkutano tumeondoa hata hizo magari.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja downplayed the clash, calling it a mere disagreement between the two offices, but promising a framework to prevent future hostilities.
What happened is the last resort, and it's truly regrettable. But it is, it can't unhappen, and we're here now. And so, and we're happy, that the head of public service has emphatically said that all ministries, because there are many with bills, there are many who don't pay for their rates, there are many who may not have been paying, different things. Everyone should take responsibility for what they owe the country. Hawa wananchi wanahitaji huduma. Wakiona shimo kwa barabara wanasema ni Sakaja, lakini watu hawalipi. Unajua si lazima ilipwe. Unasema nitoe dimple kwa barabara, lakini siwezi ziba na Big G, nahitaji lami na nahitaji kuilipia na kununua. And so that is why I've spoken about the enforcement. And this year we're going to be very firm on enforcement of rates.
Despite condemning the act, Sakaja maintained that the county government had the authority to take action against Kenya Power. He argued that just as KPLC disconnects electricity over unpaid bills, the county had legal remedies.
Kwa sababu tumekubaliana ni njia gani hizo deni ambazo tunawadai zitalipwa. Zile zetu tulikuwa tushakubaliana njia ya kuwalipa polepole, kwa sababu deni za zamani sana. Lakini lazima ulipe kidogo ile ya zamani na pia ya sasa, ili yote iwe sambamba. Na sote tuko na jukumu la kuheshimiana. Tuko na jukumu la kuangaliana wote kama mandugu. Sisi sote ni serikali. Mambo kama haya kweli haifai kufikia wananchi.
The head of public service, Felix Koskei, had earlier today chaired a high-stakes meeting aimed at resolving the prolonged standoff between the Nairobi County government and Kenya Power. The meeting, attended by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi, focused on ironing out commercial disputes linked to over 4.9 billion Kenyan shillings in unpaid wayleave fees owed to the county by Kenya Power.
Right. Meanwhile, tonight, the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen held a closed-door meeting with Chief Justice Martha Koome amid heightened pressure to remove the CJ and other Supreme Court judges from office. This comes just days after the judges moved to the High Court to challenge a petition seeking their removal. As Paul Kirobi reports, MPs from Meru County have urged former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua not to politicize the matter.
The growing pressure to remove Chief Justice Martha Koome is causing deep divisions within the judiciary. This as Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen held a crucial meeting with the CJ this morning. The meeting focused on key issues, including strengthening security for judges and the judiciary at large. This comes amid legal battles as a group of judges moved to court to challenge petitions filed by lawyer Nelson Havi, former Arieda MP Rafael Tuju, and allies of lawyer Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, who are pushing for the removal of judges over alleged gross misconduct and incompetence. In a win for the Supreme Court judges, the court has suspended JSC proceedings against them until March 6th pending further directions. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and Justice Mohamed Ibrahim are the latest to obtain orders, halting JSC hearing against them. Meanwhile, a section of MPs drawn from Meru County have come out strongly in defense of Chief Justice Martha Koome, urging former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to refrain from politicizing the matter.
In the same process, he has threatened His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya. If Martha Koome is sacked, he is going to lead a demonstration in Meru. He has twice come to show like if he is the most caring person.
Chief Justice, she has been long-serving lawyer, magistrate. She's gone through all the stages, and that's why she was elected or nominated as the Chief Justice. And I'm not seeing anything apart from the politicians who have their own ideas, who they have their own agendas.
She went through the proper vetting, and she qualified among all others names were given to the president at the time of appointment.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, and still on the corridors of justice, the Court of Appeal will rule on the 21st of March whether to overturn the High Court's decision that recognized the Azimio la Umoja coalition as the National Assembly's majority party. This follows revelations by the Registrar of Political Parties that at least 5 parties have left the coalition since the 2022 general elections. As Micah Gongo reports, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula told the court that post-election coalitions can override the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, initial declaration of party majorities. Take a look.
The Court of Appeal is set to make a landmark ruling on March 21st of 2024.
281.
A decision that could shape the power dynamics in the National Assembly. The court is expected to give a determination on whether to suspend a High Court verdict that declared Azimio la Umoja the majority party. A ruling that has sparked intense political wrangles amongst the members of August House.
You can check dates and proceed or not proceed after we have delivered our ruling. We intend to deliver it on 21st.
We shall ensure we do not take a date before 21st, my lord. We undertake that.
The National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, through his legal team, argues that post-election coalitions can overturn the IEBC original declaration on party majorities. His team prayed to the court to set aside the High Court's decision in its entirety. But the battle took a legal twist, with the abrasive defense counsel Elisha Nkoya urging the court to consider a pending contempt application against the Speaker, warning that if the ruling is not stayed, Wetangula could face imprisonment.
That is the situation that went to the Speaker, and therefore the Speaker is in that limbo, meaning he somehow has to get Parliament moving on 11th and 12th of February this year, hence culminating into the ruling of the Speaker of 12th of February to undo that lacuna.
Azimio's lawmaker Kibe Mungai countered the motion, claiming that Wetangula's acts were in contempt of court and his appeal constituted an abuse of the legal system. According to Kibe, the Speaker's decision was declared unlawful by the High Court. Hence, Azimio must take its proper position as the dominant party in Parliament.
But the purpose of this day is not the regular stay where you say, let us stop the implementation of the High Court judgment. They have already told you, we have already implemented.
Now, if there is no stay, which is going to be binding on the side to accept minority, then we will have difficulty constituting these committees because there will be no consensus.
Our place as a nation.
Following the debate on who holds the majority and minority offices in the National Assembly, the Registrar of Political Parties has revealed that at least 5 parties left the Azimio la Umoja coalition after the 2022 general election. ORPP an update on status of registered political parties by December 2024 highlighted that the People's Liberation Party, formerly NARC Kenya, Maendeleo Chap Party, United Democratic Movement UDM, Devolution Empowerment Party and Pamoja African Alliance PA had parted ways with Azimio la Umoja coalition. Following a petition by Abdi Nasir Ibrahim Abdullahi and others versus ORPP, the High Court ordered ORPP to publicly disclose the status of political parties. Justice Bahati Mwamuye in his ruling also ordered ORPP to publish and publicize in at least 2 newspapers of national circulation and on its website the current status of political parties and political coalitions in terms of their registration status, composition and alignment on or before Friday this week. The ORPP further lists 47 political parties that do not belong to any coalition and have no representation in the National Assembly. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition was declared the legitimate majority coalition in the National Assembly by a 3-judge panel of the High Court, which included Justices John Chigete, Jairus Nga and Lawrence Mugambi. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, and still on matters courts, the case surrounding the disappearance of local fisherman Brian Odhiambo continues to take unexpected turns. The Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, and the Kenya Wildlife Service, that is KWS, are now seeking to have the court dismiss an application filed by Vocal Africa, which had called for a public inquest into his disappearance. Chichi Josephine reports.
Human rights group Vocal Africa has filed an application for a public inquest into the disappearance of Brian Odhiambo.
Tulifile last week. Mahakama ilitupatia mwelekeo kwamba tuweze kuserve ile application kwa wale ambao tumewaleta mahakamani, ambao ni DPP, DCI, in charge KWS.
Na tunasema hivi, hatutasita. Kama wanafikiria hii kesi ni ya family peke yake, Wakenya wote tumeingia hivi sasa. Tunataka haki patikane haraka iwezekanavyo.
This comes after Nakuru Court declined to issue orders citing insufficient evidence.
Justice for Brian.
However, in their response, the DPP and KWS argued that the court lacks the mandate to grant the request, insisting that the DPP should institute the inquest. KWS further claims that the application is premature as nobody has been found to confirm Brian's death.
Na kweli wametupatia responses. They are quite lengthy. Tungependa kuziangalia. Na tumeomba mahakama kwamba ituruhusu tuangalie zile responses kisha tureje. Tumeomba siku 7.
The application filed on February 14th seeks to establish the circumstances surrounding Brian's disappearance and the push for justice for his family.
Whichever way the matter will go, if the court tells us no, we can't do this, we'll still find something else to do. If the court says, no, I agree with you, we'll still pursue that line. So we are here. The end game is justice for that family.
The case has sparked nationwide outrage, with human rights defenders rallying behind the call for justice.
Wale ambao walishika Brian na kumuingiza katika hiyo park wanajulikana wote. Tunataka washikwe na wapelekwe kotini na ndio tujue tumepata haki.
Nimetishiwa niwache maandamano, niwache kupanga maandamano na vijana, na sitaacha mpaka nipate justice kwa mtoto wangu.
Chichi Josephine, TV47, Nakuru.
All right, from Nakuru County, let me take you all the way to Homa Bay County, where tension is high in Sokomjinga after 3 bodies were discovered in a sewer, sparking outrage among business owners and residents. The community is now calling for urgent intervention from the county government to address rising insecurity. One of the victims, Fred Abade, was reported missing on Saturday evening, only for his body to be found on Monday. Anastasia Mukabe with the details.
A nightmare is unfolding in the depths of Sokomjinga in Homa Bay County, a sewer system turned into a graveyard. Fear, anger and horror still grip residents after another body surfaces, the third in just days. A boda rider, Fred Abade, was last seen Saturday evening before his lifeless body was retrieved from the sewer in Homa Bay town. The authority privy to the ongoing investigation have since confirmed the incident, that the body had no physical injuries, as they wait for post-mortem to determine the cause of death that could unveil a darker truth.
The body had no physical injuries, and we highly suspect that that person either he was killed and brought there, as the locals say that place is now becoming a dumping zone.
Sokomjinga residents have raised an alarm over the rise of crime rates in the area, calling on the county government to act and curb the situation.
Hata wajambazi wanafichanga kwa hii area ya nyuma hii. Sisi usiku atulali, hapa ndio penye wao wameweka kama pango yao ya kujificha.
Naomba hao watatu wakuje. Kuanzia Gladys Wanga, Opondo na MC yetu wakuje. Now, last time I talked of tutaenda kwa demonstration kama nyinyi utaki. Na hujaelewa mpaka leo mtu yote hajakuja.
As the police officers continue with the swift investigation to apprehend the perpetrators, residents have also called on the county government to rehabilitate the sewer line to prevent criminals from making the place a body dumping site. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47.
Right, quite sad there. To some politics now, the ODM party leader Raila Odinga is gearing towards unveiling a new working pact with Kenya Kwanza government in the broad-based government, an agreement which is likely to be unveiled in the course of next week after a series of consultations with the leaders and supporters across the country. So according to sources, the ODM party is demanding 10 principal secretaries in a looming reshuffle, more cabinet secretary slots and control of more committees in the bicameral house. And as Elizabeth Mutukuna reports, some of Odinga's 2022 campaign manifestos might be incorporated in the broader-based government.
The Monday meeting between President William Ruto and ODM boss Raila Odinga, which saw the official titles dropped to my brother, is said to be the beginning of an official working pact in the bid to broaden the already broad-based government. The Mombasa meeting firmed up some of the demands by ODM party. Among the many demands Raila tabled include 10 principal secretaries in a looming reshuffle, more cabinet secretaries slots, demands which are already said to have been agreed by the two principals. They are, however, said to have not agreed on speaker's slot in the bicameral house, pending some political matrix in the country. ODM Central Committee, chaired by Raila Odinga, is expected to convene Thursday for briefing on the agreements.
I'm going to consult widely what's going on forward, and in due course we're going to announce our way forward.
In the bicameral house, the ODM party is said to have demanded for 5 powerful committees in both houses. Among them is the Budget Committee, chaired by Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro, as well as Finance Committee, currently chaired by Kimani Kuria. The two committees tussled for by both political divides. Trade and Cooperatives Committee, chaired by James Gakuya, Labour Committee, chaired by Eric Mushagi, Karemba, Health Committee, chaired by Robert Pukose, and Energy Committee, chaired by Vincent Musyoka.
Ni nini haswa walizungumza na Rais William Ruto mpaka ikafikia kwamba msaidizi wake, wasaidizi wake wawili wapo ndani ya baraza la mawaziri. Kwa hivyo mimi ukiniuliza, ni vile tu Waswahili husema, ukiona vyaelea ujue vimeundwa.
Among those lined up by ODM to chair the reserved committees are Kisumu Central MP Joshua Oron in the Health Committee, Nyaribari Masaba's Dan Manduku to chair the Transport Committee, Kilifi South Member of Parliament Ken Chonga to chair the Energy Committee, and Kakamega Woman Representative Elsie Muhanda as the chairperson of the Labour Committee. The opposition is already controlling 7 out of 19 committees. In the Senate, opposition senators replaced Rigathi Gachagua allied senators who were chairing Roads Committee, Lands, Education and Agriculture Committees. The committees were held by Senators Karugo Adangwa, John Nyutu, Kamau Murango and John Medhu. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, and speaking of consultative meetings by BAMBA, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga defended his consultative meetings in his home turf of Siaya County, where grassroots leaders gave him the green light to consult to other regions ahead of the much-anticipated big announcement next week. Odinga, who is expected to formalize his unity deal, with President William Ruto, further hinted at ODM irreducible minimums on the anticipated deal, among them an end to abductions, respect for the rule of law, and an independent parliament, free from the grip of executive. Apollo Komao tells us more.
On the second day of his consultative tour after Kisumu, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga pitched tent in Siaya County in another round of consultations, which he says are aimed at uniting the country ahead of his much-anticipated big announcement next week.
Kenya is at a turning point. We are in a very tricky situation, which will depend on how we handle this situation.
Flanked by Siaya Governor James Orengo and grassroots leaders, Odinga hinted at his expectations from the yet-to-be-formalized deal with President William Ruto. He stressed that the Constitution must be respected in this new political engagement, adding that bad governance and abductions must become a thing of the past.
We want to take bad governance to the museum. We don't want to see our youth being abducted and then taken to some unknown places, tortured and some of them killed. That must be something of the past. We don't want to see corruption reigning in our country.
I am certain that Baba cannot go wrong when he is out to work for the people. And I am certain that we are going to have a structured relationship as we engage with other parties, including people in government or outside government.
Odinga also gave away what he expects in the new arrangement on a parliament that he says is not a puppet of the executive, war on corruption, and equitable allocation of resources.
We also want our parliament to work as parliament. We don't want the members of parliament to usurp the role of the executive. That parliament represents the people.
All eyes are on Odinga on whether his big announcement next week is to formalize his unity deal with Ruto or joining the opposition. All indications are that Odinga is headed for a possible coalition deal with Ruto up to the 2027 poll, with his allies dismissing overtures from Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and former DP Rigathi Gachagua.
Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, please leave us alone. We are still hurting as a people.
Odinga is expected in Bungoma on Thursday to open an ODM office before the 20th anniversary ODM party mega celebrations in Busia on Friday. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Right. Meanwhile, President William Ruto has continued with his tour of the coast region. Today, he launched several projects while inspecting others as coast leaders came to his defense for knowing the projects by name. As George Baringana reports, the head of state seemingly sent a warning shot to his critics once again.
On his continued tour of the coast, President William Ruto started his itinerary on Wednesday at the Tezo Affordable Housing Project in Tezo, Kilifi County.
Hatutaki tena siasa ya migawanyiko na chuki na ukabila. Sisi zote tunataka tushirikiane tuwe kitu kimoja. Mariakani, mnakubaliana na sisi tuungane jameni?
Despite being on the receiving end of criticism, the president turned the spotlight on his sharp memory and deep understanding of government projects across the country. Coastal leaders were quick to defend the president's way of doing things.
Wakati wale wakitaja kila siku William Ruto, weendelea kutaja barabara kama hii, na 2027 tutakuunga mkono, tutafanya kazi na wewe, na Ruto ataendelea apige chapili kama Mupe alivyosema.
Ruto further commissioned the 33/11 kilowatts Sabaki substation in Kilifi County, which according to the government will check power challenges that have impeded progress in the region.
Mnakubaliana na rais alete maendeleo kila mahali, sehemu zote za Kenya, alete barabara hapa na maji na stima.
Next on the president's basket of goodies was the launch of the Jomvu Mariakani A8 dual road. The head of state was accompanied by leaders from the coast region who assured him of the 2027 vote basket.
Usiteme Big G kwa karanga kuonjeshwa. Tafadhalini wa pwani, mwaka 2027 tumetafuna Big G kwa shida. Tumekaa na Big G wakati wa shida, wenye karanga za kuonjesha wanakuja. Watombe tuteme hii Big G.
Waswahili wanasema Mheshimiwa Rais kwamba nyege ni kunyegezana, si ndio? Na imani ni kutiana, si ndio? Mheshimiwa Rais, wewe umetunyegeza vizuri sana. Na sisi Mheshimiwa Rais pia tutarudisha mkono.
President William Ruto on his part calling for unity of the nation.
Hii pwani ilibaki nyuma siku nyingi. Ilisahaulika siku nyingi. Ikadharauliwa siku nyingi. Mimi nataka munisikize vizuri. Tumeamua na mimi nimesema Kenya hii hakuna mmoja wetu atabaki nyuma. Pwani hii, safari hii hamutabaguliwa tena.
George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget, regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50 going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Right, 34 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is the Daily Report. Rhoda Nyamai is on sign language docket. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. We continue with matters devolution here, and members of parliament have voted to block governors from accessing the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, or rather RMLF, accusing them of duplicating road projects managed by the Kenya Rural Roads Authority as a cover for misappropriation. This standoff comes as the disbursement of 10.5 billion Kenyan shillings from the RMLF remains frozen following a High Court order. The court halted the funds after the Council of Governors filed a petition challenging the allocation and use.
The standoff between governors and members of parliament over control of the Road Maintenance Levy Fund has escalated into a full-blown crisis, with 10.5 billion now frozen by the High Court, a move that has left critical projects in limbo.
Foolish parliamentarians who bewitched you. Why are we allowing people to always attack parliament? When we also have brains, we can also attack in courts. If they want to take away care that helps our people, then let us go to the Constitution.
MPs accuse some governors of duplicating road projects under KERA to siphon public funds, insisting that oversight of KERA and Kura roads is their constitutional mandate.
Kenyans can tell us which governors are doing any roads anywhere. If anything, Honorable Speaker, what happens is that the roads that are being maintained by KERA, governors then duplicate the same roads so that they loot from public coffers, Honorable Speaker.
The High Court has also suspended the National Assembly's bid to block county governments from accessing the RMLF in the 2024-2025 financial year. Outraged MPs have now demanded that the Council of Governors withdraw the court case immediately.
The only things we see in devolution is conferences every year that shows us beans, ndengu, carrots, cucumber, cassavas grown in our areas, Mr. Speaker. Those things have been happening since independence.
We are not begging the Council of Governors. We want to ask them to withdraw that bill so that they can be able to get their money which is more than the 10 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker.
The Road Maintenance Levy Fund Order 2024, which came into effect on July 15, 2024, raised fuel levies from 18 shillings to 25 shillings per litre. The High Court is set to hear the case on March 31, 2025, in what could be a defining moment for the fate of Kenya's road infrastructure. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Right, to education matters now. The leadership dispute at the University of Nairobi has intensified after the High Court overturned Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba's decision to remove Professor Amukoa Anangwe as the chairperson of the University Council. High Court Judge Bahati Wamuye made the ruling after Anangwe filed a petition challenging the legality of the revocation of his appointment. And as Andrin Kilemi reports, no new appointment will be made at the university until the case is heard and determined.
The leadership crisis at the University of Nairobi has taken a new twist after the High Court overturned Education CS Julius Ogamba's decision to remove Professor Amukoa Anangwe as chair of the University Council.
Gazette notice dated 21st of 2025 we have revoking the chair person of the University Council of Nairobi, Professor Amukoa Anangwe, have been stayed, and as such the Gazette notice is null and void.
In his ruling, Justice Bahati Wamuye barred the Education CS from proceeding with the removal and directed that no new appointment be made until the case is heard and determined. He also stopped any attempts to block Professor Anangwe from accessing his office or carrying out his duties.
And the orders further state that the prof will be going to his work immediately.
Professor Anangwe insists that the Universities Act does not grant the Education CS authority to interfere with council leadership. He argues that the move undermines institutional autonomy and violates due process.
I have a duty to safeguard my reputation by having the matter settled in court, to set the record straight, and to avoid leaving any room for speculation on what happened to warrant such a drastic action.
Education CS Julius Ogamba is yet to issue an official statement regarding his decision. However, sources link the move to allegations of mismanagement and corruption within the council. The case is scheduled for mention on April 2nd to confirm compliance and set a hearing date. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Right, thank you, Andrin, for that. And still on matters crisis in universities, chaos erupted today at Kenya Methodist University, popularly known as KEMU, as police clashed with protesting students, demanding justice over increasing security incidents. Officers fired tear gas to disperse the demonstrators. The unrest comes after a student's lifeless body was found just meters from the campus, heightening fears among students already concerned about a string of murders and thefts. Several student leaders were arrested during the protests as tensions continue to rise.
We came to learn, we left our homes, we did not come to die.
We are calling the government to come and help us. We want them to provide street lights around the area because the area is so dark. Also, the other thing, we want them to provide security personnel and patrol around the areas. Hatuwezi kukubali kubakwa, hatuwezi kukubali kuuliwa.
Right, meanwhile, over 10,000 university students and young professionals are set to benefit from the Global Management Challenge by 2030. Launched in Nairobi, the 2025 edition of this particular competition, participants from over 7,000 teams from 35 countries challenging their hands-on business acumen, critical thinking, teamwork and leadership skills in an online simulation that models real-world enterprises in real-world market conditions. The GMC program is heralded as a stepping stone for young professionals into blue-chip companies, with the winners from Kenya competition advancing to the international final set to be hosted in Macau, China in 2025 June.
We're also targeting unemployed youth, university students, like we mentioned, corporate professionals, like what Asim has mentioned, who frequent media platforms, social media platforms. So they could be there. They probably don't know about these opportunities and this challenge. We as MRX Media are at the forefront of bringing that information to them because, like we all know, social media is a powerful tool now amongst the young people to get to know about things that are out there and opportunities that they can land on.
There's no sort of eligibility criteria. If you get to the national final, you will need to find a passport very quickly if you don't have one already, because your chances of traveling to Macau are quite high once you get there.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet. Join Maybet leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybet. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia.
Right, to sports news now, and the eagerly awaited Mashemeji derby between FC Leopards and Gor Mahia is unlikely to be staged this Sunday. This is due to the unavailability of a stadium to host the high-octane FKF Premier League fixture. Our sports reporter Alan Zuki did a spot check at Nyayo National Stadium, which is closed for renovations.
The Mashemeji derby between AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia is scheduled for this Sunday, but a spot check on Nyayo and Kasarani Stadium paints a grim picture. AFC Leopards' official online platforms had earlier confirmed that the FKF Premier League fixture would be hosted at Kasarani Stadium, but on Wednesday afternoon, we established the venue is closed for renovations. Nyayo Stadium was the only other option available, but reports indicate that no official booking has been made, and even if an application is made, it is likely to be rejected. Andorra and Kenyatta stadiums do not have the capacity to host such a high-octane encounter, while Ulinzi Sports Complex has shied away from hosting the explosive game. Stadium is also under construction, forcing the home team Igwe to consider traveling outside Kenya. Our efforts to reach the chairman of AFC Leopards, Dan Shikanda, were futile, and this game is likely to be postponed again after falling in the same situation last November. Despite the unwavering passion by Kogalo and Igwe fans, who have already started traveling into the capital, eager to attend this much-awaited derby, the reality remains unchanged. None of the stadiums are available to host this prestigious derby, with both Kasarani Stadium and Nyayo Stadium switching their focus to next year's World Cup qualifiers for the Harambee Stars. The message remains clear. The derby will have to wait. Nzuki, Alan, for TV47 Sports.
Right, and najua Gor Mahia fans mlikuwa mshaanza kutafuta firimbi, but anyway, we'll still have to wait for that particular game to happen. Meanwhile, to some good news here, the Kenya national women football team, Harambee Starlets, have booked their slot in the last round of the Africa Women Cup of Nations after a 1-0 aggregate win over Tunisia. After last week's 0-0 draw at home, Starlets needed a goal in the second leg in Tunisia. Teresa Angesha scored the winning goal inside 4 minutes of play as the Beldino Gdemba Starlets held on to a crucial victory. After the win, Harambee Starlets are now set to face Gambia in the final round of the qualifiers. Kenya will host the first leg on the 20th of October this year, with the return leg in Gambia on the 28th of October. All right, still on matters football, the Confederation of African Football, that is CAF, held a high-level consultative meeting in Kampala, Uganda on the 26th of February 2025, bringing together key stakeholders from 3 CHAN 2024 co-hosting nations, that is Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. The meeting assessed progress on hosting preparations following a series of CAF inspection visits, with Kenya's review conducted on 22nd and 23rd February, Uganda's on 25th and 26th February, and Tanzania's scheduled for 27th to the 28th of February.
We wanted to have a consultative meeting with the CAF as ministers of the hosting 3 countries and as well as the PSS, just to discuss and find out where we are in terms of preparations for hosting CHAN 2024.
East Africa, which means the 3 countries, we are ready to host the CHAN. We have already done a lot on the ground in terms of infrastructure, and we are sure in the remaining months before we start the tournament on 2nd of August, we'll have accomplished everything that is needed.
Now going to begin concentrating on managing the details of the tournament, which we had been doing, but in an area of infrastructure, all of us, the 3, are ready in as far as the communication from CAF is concerned.
Right, to the tennis courts now. The Africa Junior Tennis Championships continued at the Nairobi club, with Kenya players having a long day at the office. In the boys category, Kenya's very own Indiatsi Maina succumbed to a 2-0 defeat at Namibia's Johan Theron, while Jayan Patel registered a loss to Youssef Lahmar from Tunisia. In the girls' action, the North Africans reigned supreme, with Egyptian Noor Elmat battling a 2-1 win over Kenya's Bethseba Ogamba, as Tunisia's Saha Sabani swept aside Ashley Wafula 6-0 in the first set and 6-1 in the second set. Team Kenya will be hoping for better results in the Africa Team Championships later this year.
I'm here at the AJC Clay Court Championships for under 14. It's been a really great tournament, tough matches. I think I played well, but I'll keep working and grinding and I'll come back stronger.
The tournament has been a wonderful experience for me. It's actually my first time playing a tournament like this. I've got to experience how other countries play, and I've gotten more challenges and more inspiration for me to work harder.
That was on a championship, and then going forward we've been practicing and trying to improve on our performance from zonals, and so far it's been a bit not as we expected, though the level has been very high from what we've seen. And I think it's also a good outcome, a good thing that we've seen how the players have performed, and then we try and see how to improve in the next event.
Right, and that does it for Matters Sports. Remember when we started this conversation and this bulletin, tonight I told you, utamu wa deni ni kulipa. And from January all the way to February, you might have accumulated quite a number of debt for matters the banks, as well as even from different mobile loans. And tonight we're having an expert who will be helping us understand, as you can see in different in our studios, Kathleen Mureithi. She is the head of trading at Centonomy Limited, and she'll be here to help us understand all this. And we're asking you, how do you get off and get out of matters debt? You can share to us a short WhatsApp video, 0793 267 279, and tell us your deni yote yenye uko nayo sahi, how do you get out of this particular debt? You can also text us 22047, call us live as well, 0795 045 864. And I believe you're taking a short break. When you come back, we get into this conversation deeply.
is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
And karibu sana, this is the Daily Report. Particularly, we're getting into the marketplace where we really equip you with matters financial knowledge, and we make sure that we have experts right here so that you can really understand how do you plan your money, how do you increase the money that you have in your wallet to even double up. And the conversation tonight really touches on all that. For probably you or someone you know has quite the amount of debt. It could actually be probably as little as 100 Kenya shillings all the way to millions of Kenya shillings. And you're asking yourself that one main question: how do I get out of this debt? Well, that is a conversation we're having with you, so that, because these conversations are really about you, and you can always chime in on that. 0793 267 279 is our WhatsApp number. 0795 045 864 is the number to call in live. And Kathleen Muriru here is going to be very happy to answer your questions. She is the head of training at Centonomy Limited. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much for having me.
First off, tell us about, even from Centonomy, where you sit, and even as an expert on matters of financial literacy, where would you rate Kenya's debt uptick?
That's a very interesting question, because I was actually reading about it last week. So there's a FinAccess household survey report that actually shows there's an uptick of Kenyans defaulting on loans. So if you look at the percentage this year, we are aiming at around 17%, and this is an uptick from 2021, which was 11%, meaning so many Kenyans are actually defaulting. So it gives you a clear picture of the financial situation on the ground. Again, there's also the Financial Inclusion Fund, which people call the Hustler Fund.
Yes.
You know? So the reports are almost 50%, so 30 to 50% Kenyans are actually interacting with it. So lending, borrowing is something that's not new to Kenyans per se, so we are interacting in that ecosystem. But the thing is, there are people who are getting it right, and there are others who are, you know, swimming with the sharks and not getting out alive. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And whichever the brackets that all these people lie, when you talk about defaulting, and we've really even heard from the president himself talk about, even for this Hustler Fund, that you really need to repay this, particular loans. The head of state and the government really begging, and this goes to even other private mobile loans, even the banks themselves. From where you sit, is it always a matter of, I have this money, but I don't really want to pay you? Or is it the fact that I don't have the money right now, so give me some time?
So it could go either way. You know, if you look at all ends of the spectrum, there's also the mindset factor on one end. I have the money, I'm not paying you. You know, even Kenya has debt. That's what we say, you know. So who am I to pay you? But then we do not look at the repercussions or the consequences of this, because now you're building bad credit, habit or credit score. So when the need arises where you really need to get credit for a particular need, then now you have already put yourself at a disadvantage. On the other end, with the economy as is, I mean, we look at the reports from Capital Markets Authority. We also look at how the business landscape is. The economy isn't looking so good. So now there's also that bit, where is the money to pay? You know, I really need the money, but I'm trying to get the money, and there's no money, there's no circulation. So we are all trying to balance both ends of the spectrum, but ideally the situation is you'll find the mindset will supersede this other side.
All right. Let's take a look at a particular report by TransUnion Kenya, Q1 Market Analytics report, which they released last year in October, taking a look at the first quarter of 2024, and goes to show how the uptick of this particular load. So first off, it talks about 52.79% of Kenya's total credit in this first year was issued through mobile loans. This basically really surpassing the traditional loans from brick and mortar facilities. It also talks about 3.92 million new mobile loans accounts were opened. Also talks about millennials, this is between 25 to 35, making a huge share of the principal amounts in various loan categories, accounting for about 51.1% of this particular mobile loans. What do you make of this report?
I mean, it's not new. I feel like it was bound to come out in the public, ideally also because if you gauge the pros and cons of mobile loans, right now it's very easy for you to get a loan from a mobile, application, unlike the traditional way, as you call it, where now we have to operate within business hours. The banks, you have to go to the bank, there's some documents you have to sign, there's a lot of back and forth, but now with the mobile loans, I just need to, download an application, fill out my KYCs, and then get my loan almost immediately in my M-Pesa, So it's the situation, the way it is, it's very easy for you to access credit, unlike before. So now we are seeing so many people getting into that space where even when they don't need the money, just because they can easily access it, so they are getting into those mobile applications. Again, there's also the bit of financial indiscipline. We really have to be honest. You walk through CBD, you see a good pair of shoes, you have so many shoes, in the house, but because you love this particular one and you don't really need it, so you end up spending money that probably didn't have at the moment. So you quickly go into the mobile application, get out credit, buy the shoe, which you might not wear it, So again, there's also that ripple effect. And again, with the age bracket, the millennials, if we look at the money in the different seasons of life, in your 20s, before you get to your 30s, you're in the season of exploration. This is where you're trying out almost everything, And right now with the Gen Zs, we are free-spirited, I see, I like, I want, There's also the bit of quality over quantities. We're seeing so many people traveling. Going to Dubai does not look that hard as, 10 years ago, Things have been made easier for us to experience these thrills or luxuries in life. So people are getting into credit to also experience the exploration period. And then when you get to your 30s, this is when now you're getting into the establishment phase, You're probably getting married at this point, you're starting having kids. So now even your goals have begun to change. Now you're thinking about home ownership, you're thinking about school fees, you're thinking about food expenses have increased, and you're probably earning the same amount of money you're earning 5 years back, and you haven't really gone into the spectrum of should I increase my income. So now things are happening at a very fast rate. So now you get into spending, and it goes on even in your 40s, where now you're trying to consolidate the little assets that you've been able to accumulate. And you'll find now with the fear, I'm getting into the retirement age, I have not been able to do A, B, C, and D, but I can access a few coins here. So you go and access it just because you want to accomplish something, but you do not think about the repercussions or the consequences of this. And again, it goes back to the mindset, I see, I want, I get, but you don't look at the underlying factors.
Right. Let's throw this question now to the Kenyans, and we sampled a few of their comments on how they really get out of debt. Let's hear what some Kenyans say before we continue, so that we can actually understand the whole psychology. In case you're watching us tonight and you've just opened any mobile loan, before you actually even scan through this particular mobile loan, what do you need to understand? Let's listen to Kenyans and then we answer your questions on that.
Mambo ya madeni ni kama na chada na pete hapa nchini Kenya. Wakenya na madeni ni kama bibi na bwana, hatuwezi weza kuachana, moso wakati huu ambapo ekonomia ya Kenya imezoroteka sana. The reason we having these debts sio ya kwamba tunazitaka, lakini ni mtu akienda kuchukua deni unapata hasa amefika mwisho.
Ni kustrategize na kuprioritize ile loan ambayo utatangulia. Kwa sababu na you cut off the high interest loans, hiyo ndio kwanza unafaa kupunguza. Mobile loans, what are they helping? They are not helping. Hauwezi anzisha biashara na mobile loan aje. It is giving you 500 bob, 300 bob, 1000 ukipatiwa mingi. Who will be helped by such amount in Kenya right now? Hakuna mtu yoyote anaweza saidika na pesa kama hiyo. Pesa ukichukua ni kukula tu.
Financial literacy hasa kutoka kwa serikali inaweza kuwa haitakuwa na impact sana, kwa kuwa ambao wanafaa kutusomesha already wao wako na madeni. Kenya nchi iko na deni ya trilioni 10. Sasa mimi niko na deni ya 5,000 ya simu. Utakuja kuniambia nini na hujaweza kulipa deni yako?
All right, Kathleen, the country has billions of trillions of loan.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I can get from the two gentlemen is matters how you strategize and prioritize, and they talk about matters impact. A quick look at and review of what they're talking about. Just to quote one of them, says huwezi anzisha biashara na mobile loan. This goes to what you talk about, the mentality of this loan. When you're as a trainer, when you're even talking to experts themselves, people who are in this financial sector, or people who don't have any financial knowledge, what is their view, and what is Kenyans' views when you're talking to them about these loans and how much impact they can have on their lives?
I think one of the considerations that you really have to put in mind when it comes to debt is time. Time is actually the biggest consideration, and people really do not listen or read the fine print when you go to the bank. You have been told, you can be able to
the
access
whole list of that palletine.
So you look at the amortization calculator and you see, 15,000 every month, that's little money, you sign off, but you don't read the fine prints there. And it goes to your understanding, financial literacy also. We usually say if you want to generate wealth, you have to love two things. You have to love how to read, or to love to read, and also you need to love mathematics. The wealthy people, if they can't do either of the two, they usually get experts to do them, so that at least I can come and say, I need 10 million shillings in the next 24 hours because of A, B, C, and D, and you trust me that it's a big currency in the whole ecosystem.
Okay.
But now, when we boil down now to that mentality of the 500 shillings cannot start a business, ideally, yes, it's true, because it will be very detrimental of you to get a mobile loan to start a business if you do not have a clear-cut business plan in mind,
Okay.
So you're operating from a point of speculative assumption, So someone has done this business before, I see it working, I'm going to also take out a loan, start this business because person X is achieving X, Y, Z, and then now you do not get the expected return on investment. But here you have a loan and you do not have a clear repayment plan. You quickly signed off yourself, and now you have to pay this loan. So we really need to understand what are the fine prints. And we usually say, ask all the questions. Do not ask the questions in your head and answer them by yourself. Ask them in as much as they might sound stupid to you, but ask them, this is a long-term loan. I'm supposed to pay it in about 5 years, right? So, of course, the interests are going to be high because of the accumulation of it, So do not look at the monthly payment only. Because it's a long-term loan, you're probably going to pay very little, but the interest is high, But the smart people will come and realize, all right, so if I can get a short-term loan, probably a year, 7 months, and then now pay extra every month, then now I can be able to utilize that money and then avoid the interest rates that come with the other years, So you need to understand the dynamics and how they play out. But if you can't, the financial institutions and the lenders, but I would suggest there's some unregulated lenders in the market, right, if we are going to be honest,
And it's something that one of the gentlemen was talking about, the high interest loans. And so hypothetically, if you have, let's call it lender A, have lender A, B, and C. A would probably charge an average of, let's say, about 11. Is 11 okay?
Per month?
Yes. So let's scale it, because you talk about, let's say, 4 years. Let's scale it down to about, let's say, a month or two. And you have about, let's say, A having 11%, and B probably 9%, and C maybe 16%. I'm putting these figures out here because for most of this, lenders, they have a way of even how they advertise to you. They'll have it in a very, funky way, a very nice, creative way to tell you, you need to be on board with us, right now.
Yes.
But then what should be going through, let's say this is Brayo, who is, doing it tonight, and has downloaded the 3 of this, lending apps. And he's looking at this, percentages. He doesn't really, as you're saying, ask people the questions, not answer, themselves to you.
Yes.
So what should be going through Brian's mind when he's seeing some of these percentages as well as all these figures, and he's supposed to take this loan just for a month and repay it exactly 1 month later?
All right.
And probably just to add on it, maybe he is, he's employed and he has a salary of about, let's say, 20,000 Kenya shillings.
Oh, wow.
And he's taking a loan of, let's say, 5,000 Kenya shillings.
Okay, all right. So maybe to put it out there for Brayo, 11% is actually too little for these kinds of predatory, predatory mobile lending or lenders, you know. So they usually average about 30% a month, and the annual percentage rate could actually even go beyond 300%. So that's why we call them predatory, because they take advantage of Brayo's financial illiteracy, Brayo's inability to understand how the loan dynamics usually work, Brayo's need for quick money. You know, I want money to do A, B, C, and D, probably even for consumption, you know, for basic expenses in the house. So what Brayo needs to understand is, number one, what type of loan am I getting? This 5,000, what is it for? You know, if it's for consumption, then that's definitely a bad loan. A bad loan. A good loan is a loan that you take to purchase an asset that will put money into your pocket. So a bad loan is something that is a loan that you take for consumption. So automatically at this point, Brayo is living beyond his means. If the 5,000 is for the basic expenses. Number two is the total repayment amount. So if we are doing 11%, Brayo can be able to calculate and see, all right, so what's the total repayment amount based on the time that the application has, you know, they give you a lot of details so that you can make the choice yourself and you don't come and say, oh, but you told me, no, all the information was there and you made that sound decision. So based on the number of repayment months or repayment period, Brayo needs to understand what is the total repayment amount that I need to, you know, chuck out of my pocket because of this 5,000 shillings. And then number two, where am I getting this loan? What is the reputation of this platform or this organization where I'm getting this loan? You know, there's no legal recourse in case of any breach of agreement, you know, and at this point, these people have a lot of your information. There's also the bit of breach of data, you know, so they have access to your contacts, you know, they have access to your private information. So if Brayo is not able to pay this amount of money, depending on the agreement that Brayo has been able to sign, you know, so now there's the threats. We've seen cases of people being threatened. We've seen cases of people's privacy being infringed. You know, you get a call, person X, for example, Brayo's friend from 10 years ago gets a call, you know, Brayo hasn't paid 5,000 shillings, and now you're wondering, who is this Brayo to begin with, you know? At this point, I don't know Brayo, you know, and then now there's the bit of data, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. So Brayo might actually get into depression or anxiety because of 5,000 shillings. So what Brayo needs to do is, over and above understanding the whole ecosystem, is to try and see, what can I do right now before I get to a point where I need to borrow the 5,000 shillings. So Brayo has a salary of 20,000 shillings. So he needs to do a financial health check, you know, understand what are my liabilities, what are my assets, what do I owe, what do I own, you know, and don't do it with your mind. Like, take a piece of paper and a pen, write it down, you know, everything. So you know, all right, so my debts accumulate to X amount of money, my assets accumulate to Y amount of money. If you understand that now, Brayo will be able to know how much of what I work so hard for is actually mine. You know, because ideally the 20,000 will come, but there's a landlord, you know, there's the utilities that Brayo needs to take care of. There's a girlfriend somewhere waiting for allowance or something, you know. There's usually someone who has a job description for your money. Brayo is no, you know, exception to this. So once Brayo is able to understand how much of this 20,000 is actually mine. If he does that exercise, he might realize, oh, out of 20,000, only probably 2,000 is actually mine. So what he needs to do with this 2,000 is be selfish with it.
All right.
So pay himself with that 2,000. So if Brayo is able to put aside that 2,000 every month, every other month, it will get to a point where he will have an accumulated amount of money. Even the 5,000 will not be lucrative now from the mobile lenders.
All right. But Kathleen, as generally as Gen Z like to say, makosi ifanyike. And Brian hops into one of these lenders, either ABC, mostly in a year, 30%. And whatever he has to pay, because if he was borrowing 5,000, whatever he has to pay might be, I think, probably about 6,500 thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yes. So he tonight he's hearing this information for the first time, this whole financial knowledge. And whatever thought in his mind was, I'll have to look for lender C to pay up whatever lender B is owing me.
Yeah.
The whole theory of borrowing Paul to pay Peter. Yes.
Yeah.
How does Brian go about that?
Well, at that point, kama uko ndani ya shimo, the worst thing you can do is to accumulate another debt. That's not good advice at this point. You're already in a disadvantaged situation, So the first thing that you need to do is assess your debt situation, So analyze that debt that you have. Again, the total amount of repayment amount that I need to check at the end of the day, the type of loan, understand the particularities of that loan. Once Barry is able to understand that, now there's that thing where the budget that I'm working with, or the budget that Brayo is working with, can I spare a few coins from this budget? To realize that probably Brayo is spending a lot of money on non-essentials. They're important, yes, but they're not essentials. A good case in point is probably Brayo is paying a monthly subscription to a gym somewhere, and then he can do home workouts, or Brayo's girlfriend, instead of going to the salon every month, there's, you can work smartly around it and then spare a few coins. So now these coins now can be used to pay off that loan. And then now you use, Brayo can use a snowball effect, where now you pay off the small loans, for example. So if he has a loan of like 2,000, pay that off quickly. If he has another one of 4,000, pay off that quickly. And then now bakina ile kubwa. So the bigger one now, because he would have built that habit, So with that amount of money, he can be able now to clear off the big loan. And there's something I want to emphasize when it comes to debt, If you find yourself in a habit where you are borrowing to cover basic expenses, it actually sends two signals. Number one, you're living beyond your means, so you might actually have to do a lot of recalculations. And number two, you're spending your tomorrow today.
All right.
So now what happens when tomorrow comes? So if that doesn't put you in a situation where you do a lot of introspection, then I don't know who's going to help you, because at this point you have all the help, but you're saying, nah, I'm good, So Brayo needs to do all things so that all ends of the spectrum balance in the end.
All right. There are quite a number of questions coming in, particularly from business, people. I really wanting to know how productive debts can really be, and even taking loans. But before I get into the SMSs and the WhatsApp, remember the WhatsApp number is 0793 267 279. Rusha hizo maswali zote, and also call in live. Kathleen will be able to answer you. Kathleen, right now, for most of the Gen Z as well as the millennials are in what we call the gig economy. Yes. I didn't have any money today. I know I have a debt of probably 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 upwards. And I get a text, I'm told, because I'm a DJ, I'm told there'll be a concert, and for the next 3 weekends, I know I have quite this amount of money. For such kind of, people who depend on this, the one-off, kind of money that, it will come in quite the load, and from there until another season. How should someone handle this debt?
All right. So for this kind of person who does not have a guaranteed income at the end of the month, so there's that financial insecurity bit. What you need to have is something called an emergency fund. Okay. Because there's that period where you have money, and then there's that period where you don't have money. Ideally, you have an understanding of how much your lifestyle is worth, So if you're a DJ, you probably, if I give you 100K, or 200,000, you can sleep from date 1 to date 30 and you'll be good, because that money has been able to cover most of your expenses now. So if you have that understanding, then you need to have at least 6 months worth of your lifestyle tucked in somewhere for that period of time where you'll not be making any money. So you really have to cultivate a lot of financial discipline, because yes, it's raining right now, but there's a season of drought that will come. So when that time comes and you have no idea how long that season would last. So it's good for you to prepare for those uncertainties. Ideally, also, there's some unexpected expenses that usually come. So over and above you not having an income, there's some, like now COVID, how it happened. There's a lot of people that were actually put at a disadvantage because of that eventuality. There's some unexpected medical expenses. Right now, people, especially the millennials, are taking care of sick parents, or you have to send money back home, to take care of your parents. So because now you have an understanding of everything and the whole ecosystem, it's good for you to have an emergency fund. The wealthy people, we call it buying yourself time. We have people who have bought themselves up to 10 years. This is now what we call generational wealth. So my child, my child's child. So I have been able to buy that time and they can be able to live confidently. So once you operate from that abundant mentality, whatever you have right now, you will not misuse it, you know. And if you need to make a big purchase, that's not something that you'll go and okay, so I have like 1.2 million, there's a good car over there, let me go buy that car. No, you'll actually have to rethink. Ideally also, this is not a situation where you put your money in a low, you know, interest earning pot, you know. So how smart people do is now the money markets, because now everyone, I believe like everyone has heard about the money market. Even if you don't understand, there's the word money market that you've probably heard. So now people will start thinking like investors. So instead of you putting your money in a place where it's not gaining interest the way you would want it, so now you put it somewhere else. And the good thing about it is it also cultivates discipline, because somewhere else, if I want to buy money right now, I can actually withdraw. But in a money market, you'll probably be given a waiting period of about 48 hours. Within those 48 hours, you'll have thought clearly, do I really need that pair of shoes? No, you know, so you'll have to do a lot of recalculation. So now this gives you a situation where there's a buffer that you have created. So in case of any eventuality, then now you're good to go. Yeah.
Right. I'll start off with the questions that we have on WhatsApp. So his name is Victor, says, good conversation, TV47. Kindly ask her, if I am paid today for my salary, do I first pay off the debt before paying other utilities?
I would advise yes. One of the good strategies for you to actually get out of debt is to ideally even automate. If you can, automate. Okay. So that by the time you're looking at your amount of money in the account or wherever your money is, you have taken care of the debt, you know. Ideally also it's good for you to, if you're taking out loan or debt, take them out during that period where you have cash flow. That period where you know, okay, this is the week that I'm usually being paid, so that at least by that time there's cash flow, you know, and you're able to take care of those loans. So yes, if you can, the first thing that you need to do even before paying yourself, please sort out the debts.
All right. Someone here, okay, the whole comment, I won't really read it, but then I'll paraphrase it because of the language used here. Okay. But really talks about how pushy these lending apps can really be. Do you feel like it is would be time to have, sit down and have a regulation on how, the conversation from the lender to someone who, to the borrower as well, and how this conversation, I borrowed you money, and the conversation on how it should go after I surpass that deadline?
Yes, discussions could be hard, but the situation on the ground is discussions have been had before. But again, because of that, these lenders do not follow the regulatory frameworks. Okay. For example, if you can go to a financial institution and take out a loan, there's a regulated framework that they need to be guided by. So even the 300% is something that they can't give you. But these ones, they take advantage because there's no legal recourse. If you go to court, it might be hard for you to actually be at an advantage because of that unregulated spectrum. So even if you have that discussion, it's actually willing lender, willing borrower. So we've agreed, I give you this amount of money, you pay by this time. And there's some, I see situations where if you're not able to pay the full amount within the stipulated period of time, then maybe you can pay the interest and then we stretch out the loan. There's usually areas, loopholes that they take advantage so that at least they can make the most out of you. So now you as the borrower, you need to understand there is no legal framework that these mobile lenders are actually conforming to. That's number one. So they have all the right or all the freedom to take advantage of you in every which way. So once you understand that, then you will never be at an advantage with these people. So if you're making that decision to take out this loan, you need to take out this loan in a way that you know this loan is very necessary. If it's an emergency, so I'm taking out this loan, but I know I'm going to repay it as fast as I can, Number two, you need to understand the type of loan that you're taking with these people. So if you're taking out probably a long-term loan, probably 2 months, 3 months. I'm calling those long terms because I see some loans go up to 15 days, 30 days. You need to understand what is the total amount of money that I need to pay, because you'll be shocked for a loan of about 15,000. I'm guessing you'll probably pay about 25,000. That's 10,000 more, and you have a very short period of time to actually pay that loan. So once you understand all these dynamics, you will make the sound decision to, okay, it's very good that you're offering me this amount of money, but it does not serve me in any way at this point. Then now you begin now to look at what are some of the other fronts that I can be able to explore to sort out this need that I have.
All right. There's a question here. Hello, TV47. My name is Churchill. How do I build long-term wealth as a young person using good debt in this economy?
That's actually a good question. So there's a way you can be able to leverage on good debt to build wealth or in pursuit of wealth creation. Good debt is actually wealth that you use to purchase assets.
Okay.
So now for Churchill, what he needs to do is probably take out a debt or a loan and then purchase assets that will put money in his pocket and also help him to sort out the loan.
Right.
So a good example will be if Churchill wants to do Uber business. I'm guessing he's a young guy somewhere, you know. You can take out a loan, purchase an Uber. The Uber will bring money into your pocket and will also help you to pay that loan.
Right.
So in the long-term period, you'll be able to build wealth, you'll be able to pay out that loan, and you'll be able now to even build a very good credit history or credit score, so you can be able to take out even bigger loans.
And that was my next question, actually, your final question, before I get to your final thoughts. Your credit score, because when you take a look at some lending apps, when you try to probably register, they tell you, no, you have some bad history with, you know, lending app A or B, so I can't really give you money right now. Clear your maneno zuko, then you come back here. How do you, make sure that your credit score is, good to go, so that even for future, you can be able to have, borrow? I can finish off with your final thoughts on that as well.
All right. So here's the thing. Lenders usually talk to each other. You know, you can go to financial institution A and then you ask for a loan, you default on that, and then you think you'll go to financial institution B and then they'll give you a loan happily. No. There's usually a flow of information here.
Okay.
And there's a way, that's why we have CRBs.
Yes,
so they are able now to actually even categorize. This is actually a high risk, so if you're giving this person a loan, no long term, only short term, because this person is likely to default, so there's that flow of communication. And then for the small loans that you take, that 500, well, please pay it, because it's actually building your credit history. So they're able to see, all right, this person actually pays their loan, how frequently do they pay, what is the amount of money that they take, so they're able to get this information and build a very good persona. So by the time you're getting to a point where you need that big loan, you have built a very nice portfolio of yourself, and you're able not to be trusted with the big loans. So the 500 that you're saying for Hustler Fund, I'm not going to pay, it's actually very detrimental in the long term. So pay it as fast as you can, you'll be trusted with even more. And here's the thing, life is very dynamic. It's a wavelength. So you might not need debt right now, but you will need at some point. And I usually say it's very, very, very impossible, next to impossible, for you to build wealth without debt at some point.
Right.
So once you understand that, then now you'll be able to know, how can I put myself at an advantage always, And if you find yourself, because life happens, if you find yourself in a place where you're not able to pay, do not go mute. Usiende chini ya maji, Just go to that place where you borrowed the loan, tell them, oh, here's my situation. Then now, can we restructure the repayment terms? They're not bad people. They're there to help you, Just go and say, this is the situation on the ground. I'm not able to pay or follow through with the payment process that we had agreed on. So now, can we restructure it? And as I finish off, let me just repeat the quote that really actually lingers in my mind most of the time. If you find yourself that you have cultivated a habit of borrowing for basic expenses, then please know that, number one, that's a very clear signal that you're living beyond your means, and number two, living today, tomorrow. Yes. So when tomorrow comes, actually you don't have tomorrow. You do not have a tomorrow at this point. Thank you very much. Kathleen Murray, she is the head of trading at Centonomy Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, you have sent your questions. I have forwarded them to Kathleen, but then this conversation continues on our digital platforms. How do you get out of debt? How do you even, make sure that your credit score is very, very good? You have an A there. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Kidogo niseme Catherine Sumale. Rhoda Nyamai has been on sign language interpretation. Thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday evening.